Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the REDX podcast. My name is Haley Johnson. I will be the host today. We have a very exciting guest this week. We have Sean Moudry with us. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, guys. How are you?
So good. So glad that you're here with us today. You're a first-time guest, so this is really exciting. I'm excited to get into some of your strategies and things like that. Before we get started, I do want to tell the audience who are watching live, this is a participatory event. So if you ever have questions throughout the podcast for Sean, we have him for the next half hour. Feel free to put in your comments, questions, things like that, and we will get those answered. And then, of course, if you're not already, please subscribe so that you're notified every time that we go live and all that good stuff. Okay, let's get into it. Sean, why don't we get started with a little bit of an introduction so that the people that are watching know a little bit about you?
Oh, wonderful. So I've been in real estate about 28 years now.
Okay, good amount of time.
Good amount. Yep. I got started. I think there's some other people that will relate to this. I got started because I wanted to be a real estate investor. And back in the early 90s, there was a guy that did late night TV advertising called Carlton Sheets. And he talked about buying houses with no money down. And I bought those at 19, and I started door knocking, going door to door, asking people if they wanted to sell me their house with a non-qualifying assumption. So you can imagine how successful, and no rejection in that,
Right.
And in that process, I met a real estate agent who said, "Man, if you're willing to do this, you'd be so successful in real estate." And so I got licensed at 21. And I started helping people, renters specifically, low-income renters that kind of nobody else would help, buy their first house with down payment assistance programs and government grants. And and I sold 72 homes my first year, from 21 to 22, wow. 104 my second, 144 my third. I was in the 30 Under 30 Realtor magazine at 27, Hall of Fame at RE/MAX at 25. So I had a very successful real estate career as an agent for about 16 years. And then in 2009, I went to Keller Williams, and I was a team leader for them, recruited. I was a top 10 recruiter in the company for a couple of years, a bold coach for them. And that's where I learned how to train people on prospecting expireds and FSBOs. So anybody who has been through the old school bold program, you're my people. And then in 2014, I built my own real estate brokerage in Boulder, Colorado, and a coaching business. So that's when I broke into coaching at a high level. And I've coached probably close to 3,000, 4,000 agents now on prospecting, lead generation, team building, all kinds of stuff. So
wow.
Yeah, I've been around forever.
Looks like we've got the expert with us on today. So I'm excited. This is awesome. You've been in the business for a while, and so you know what works and what doesn't, I would assume, right?
Well, I have an opinion.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. There's so many different types of lead generation. There's so many types of getting business and things like that. I know I'm actually writing an ebook right now for new agents and how to be successful as a new agent, especially with like how many people have entered the business just in the last couple of years with how hot the market's been. And I know interest rates are going up and things like that. So things are changing, and maybe some of the same lead generation tactics that people have been using. I mean, it's been pretty easy to be a real estate agent the past couple of years, right?
Well, I think this last year, I think a lot of people are struggling right now with the low inventory. I know a lot of agents who have been around for many years, and they're struggling just to get a listing, So I think it's easy to sell them once you get them.
Right.
But
getting them, yeah.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, it's probably one of the most challenging markets we've ever seen.
Interesting. And so what do you think about since interest rates are going up and things like that, do you see, what are you thinking that'll happen to the market, or is it going to get harder, easier? What do you think?
Well, I'm a storyteller, like you, and I tell this story is in 2008, I was one of the top 50 agents in the country, in 2008. And by 2011, I wasn't even on the radar screen. And the number one agent in the entire United States in 2011 didn't even have his license in 2008. Okay. So with great shifts create opportunity, right? And so if you're new and you're getting into the business, this could be a massive opportunity for you, because when the market shifts, if you don't pivot quickly, which I didn't, I basically pivoted me out of the business. I became a team leader. I'm like, oh, this got really hard. So if you don't pivot inside of the business quickly, and the bigger ship you're running, the harder it is to turn it, right? So a new agent can adapt quicker. They can, they don't have the expectations that us seasoned agents have. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity that's ahead.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's true. And getting into the business is so exciting. I mean, with the fail rate that real estate has, like 87% of agents fail in their first 5 years. I think a little bit of what we're going to talk about today about lead generation and things like that is going to help save those agents who get into the business, maybe with false expectations or, things like that, because your business will dry up if you're not generating leads, especially, I mean, people experience that through the past couple of years. And I think sometimes some of the same stuff doesn't work anymore, or you have to pivot like you're saying. But I really like what you said of great shifts create opportunity. I love that. I think that is a perfect sentiment. And I think perfect segue into what I want to talk about with you. You're Mr. 16 strategies. So talking about kind of like personality types and what kind of lead generation you should do based on your personality, right?
Yeah. I mean, let me start off here first, is to say that I think any personality type can be successful in this business.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, people say, oh, you're interviewing people and they use the disc and they say, oh, this person's a high D or they're a high I, and, they're going to be so successful. You and I, we've seen people who are high Ds and high Is fail, right? Let's be honest. We see them fail. And we see people who are an introvert who can't even make eye contact with you and hold a conversation, build massively successful businesses too. So there's not a personality type that's successful, in my opinion. I think it's the personality type that you have is going to dictate what business or what type of lead generation is going to be most comfortable for you. It's going to you're going to do it because you're going to repeat it because you don't despise it, right? It's not like, I always say it's like eating dog food, right? Like you're doing something, you're like, this is like eating dog food. This isn't enjoyable. So if you adapt to a lead generation preference that is going to be something that's more natural for you, you're going to do more of it. If you do more of it, you're going to have more chances to bat, you're going to have more success, and you're going to repeat it. So that's kind of the way I look at it. But that's not the only factor. Personality can't be the only factor, because there are other things like income. So if you're brand new to the business, I always say there's two things that you have to know. One is, what do you want to achieve? Like if you have to replace your income from your previous job, let's say you're making $60,000 a year and you must take home $60,000, right, this next year, then you need to generate about $100,000, because you're going to have expenses. You're going to have your brokerage fees and advertising and marketing, right? All those things. So in order to take home 60,000, you're going to have to make 100. And then how fast do you need to get there? Because if you don't have 6 months of savings put away, then you know what? Farming probably isn't going to be the most effective way for you short term. Right. So sometimes we're going to have to flex out of our personality profile and do something we don't enjoy for a period of time until we can build the business that we do enjoy.
Okay. So once you get those two questions, what do you want to achieve and how fast do you need to get there? And so let's say, what I want to achieve, let's use your example. I need to get to 100,000. And if I need to do it fast, what are some of the best lead generation tactics for that?
Well, that's a great question. That's why we're here. Well, here's the reality. Is if you have a huge sphere of influence, right? Let's say you're born and raised in a city and your family's from that city and you know a lot of people. If you already have trust and familiarity with people, the fastest way is going to be through a referral-based business, okay?
Right.
Now, for me, I got licensed at 21. I grew up in a trailer park, right? My friends, they weren't thinking about buying a home. It wasn't like I could tap into my SOI. And where I got licensed or where I was practicing real estate wasn't near where I grew up. So there was only one option, was to find people who I didn't know and convince them that I was the way to help them achieve what they wanted, right? So the short answer is at some point in your business, even if your SOI is big, you're going to have to go meet people you don't know. Okay.
Name of the game.
Yeah, that's the game. And you can try to build your business slowly through your SOI and through your relationships, and call it Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, right? You can try to do it that way, but it's probably not going to be fast enough for you to actually generate income for you to reach $100,000 in 12 months. Okay.
Right.
So you're going to need a way to meet people that have their hand up, right? That say, hey, I'm interested in selling my home. You're going to have to find a way to do that quickly and predictably. Okay. And I think that's where systems like REDX do an outstanding job, where, for sale by owners, expireds, non-owner occupy, abandoned properties, homes that don't show a mailing address located to them. These are people that are predictably going to move, right? They're just not, you're not just not going door to door.
Right.
Do you want to move? No, I'm going to die in this home. I'm not moving. So systems like that make it very efficient for you to go meet people, get in front of people that have a high likelihood of selling in the next, 12 months. I mean, that's a simple way to say it.
Yeah. Get more now business. I mean, you tell people to prospect, and that is a very difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing to get on the phone and talk to strangers. It's scary. People have call reluctance, all these things. But I think what we teach is we know, especially when you're a new agent and you don't have a lot of referral business, you don't have a lot of past clients, and maybe you do have a big SOI, which is obviously a great tool for you. But if you don't, and you're calling, and we call it the grind, because it's a grind. We're not here to say that buying REDX leads and calling them is the easiest thing. It's definitely not. But what's great about it is expired leads, for example, they literally need to sell their house. And if you're not talking to people who, like you said, have raised their hand and need to sell their house, then you're missing out on now business that could sell within weeks instead of months or years, right? And so then once you work enough of that, once you are prospecting for however long it takes, it could be years, it could be for just to build your database, to then you can graduate from the grind, and then you're just working on a referral business, right?
Well, maybe, but here's the way I look at it. Like, some people, I'm a Myers-Briggs certified practitioner, DISC certified, and AVA certified through corporate consulting. So I've done multiple personality assessments, and the one thing that I've learned is, like, we all do things for different reasons, right? Yeah. And our personality dictates the reason. I'm a person, I have a big past client database. I don't enjoy spending time with my past clients. I don't want to call them. I would much rather call somebody I don't know.
Really?
Call somebody I know. Yeah. It's just my personality.
We're different.
Yeah. I'm odd. Well, it's because when I solve problems, my personality type is to solve through process, right? I solve through process, not through people. Some people solve through people. They think, I have a problem, who should I call? I think, I have a problem, what system should I use? Or what system can I create to solve the problem, right? And that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
So each personality type does things for different reasons. So if you I kind of break it into 4 quadrants. So you have people who are inspirational, right? So if I'm coaching somebody who's inspirational personality, and I'm coaching them to call for FSBOs and expireds, I'm going to talk to them about who they're going to become when they achieve their goal. I'm going to talk about where they're going, right? But if I'm talking to somebody who is maybe a sympathetic, right? Their personality is more sympathetic, I'm going to talk to them about the people that they're going to help. The little old lady who doesn't know a real estate agent who's out there, who put her house on Zillow for sale by owner because she just didn't know any better, right? She's never sold a home. So you're looking for that little old lady, right? You're just calling, and and you get somebody who yells on you, you hang up, you go, well, that's not her. Okay. If I'm coaching somebody who's practical, okay, I'm coaching them to the fact that calling FSBOs and expireds is their best practice, right? This is the most, this is the best practice that's consistent and we can, it's consistent and measurable, right? So we know the numbers, right? You and I know these numbers like inside and out, right, Haley? It's like, they're so predictable. You know the numbers. It doesn't matter if the economy's going up or down or whatever. The numbers are the numbers. They just don't change much. And then the theoretical people, the people that are theoretical mindset, they're going to do it because it's the most efficient. Okay. It's the fastest way for them to make money and it's the most efficient. So, so depending on their personality, I'm just going to coach them to to what they're going to perceive as their desire. Right. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make in coaching and training agents in general is they try to motivate them all the same. And the main thing that we try to motivate people with is money. Money is a horrible motivator. It's a horrible, because here's the worst thing about motivating with somebody with money. What do you do when they make $1 million? Then they're like, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to go after, right? Now they're like, I'm going to go do something else now. And they take off and they leave the industry. So it's really, tying it to something greater than oneself, right? Not to quote Viktor Frankl here, but it's tying to something greater than the car you're going to buy, the house you're going to live in, the money that you're going to make. And that's where you see agents who reach this massive success because they quit doing it for the money a long time ago. Yeah.
I like that, especially because I think a lot of people get into real estate for the money because it's like, oh, wow, like you can make a lot of money. Like think about how many homes I have to sell and I get this much money, right? And it's calculated and it's like, oh, wow, I could be successful. And you get into it and you're like, oh, this is hard. And if you don't find that greater purpose or why you're actually doing something that aligns with your values or what you believe in and things like that, then I think maybe that's a big reason why people fail out of the business.
Well, yeah. I mean, you said what, 90% fail in 5 years? I actually thought that statistic was actually conservative. I would say it's probably 2 years. But you ask most people, why did you get into real estate? And they'll say, I wanted flexibility, right? I didn't want to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I wanted flexibility with my schedule. And I didn't want to live on my income, right? But those two things conflict with each other, right? You can't have flexibility and unlimited income, right? Unless you're Warren Buffett's son, that's not going to happen for you. Right. That's not your choice.
Right.
So like, when I got into real estate, I made pizzas before. I worked at a pizza restaurant from 14 to 21. And, I worked evenings and weekends, 6 to 7 days a week making pizza. So when I got into real estate, working evenings and weekends, I was already adapted to it. And working long shifts, 8 to 12 hour shifts, in real estate, we call those half days, right? 12 hours is half day. So people want the success, but they don't want to sacrifice to get it. Right. And they say, well, I'm not going to answer my phone after 8 o'clock. I was answering my phone at 11 o'clock. Right. Like, until you build the business, it's kind of like a plane leaving a runway. It's going to expel most of its fuel just getting to altitude. Once it's at altitude, they dial back the accelerator. But most people never get to altitude because they never really put in the effort. So, freedom and flexibility, money is a horrible motivator. I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't work.
Well, and if you're thinking about it, like I think about myself in my own career, right? I'm in marketing and I don't necessarily have a huge passion about marketing itself, right? I really like doing it. But what I most like about marketing is the people. And interacting with people and helping people, right? And that is something that like I could do in probably any profession and be happy, right? But I found myself in marketing and really love it. And so I think this is interesting with real estate agents who when they're doing an activity that they don't like, for example, calling expireds because they're angry homeowners, right? Yeah. Then you have to think about your motivator in that instance. And that will, instead of like, oh, okay, this will get me this much money or whatever, think about, like you said, I think it was the sympathetic who is like, oh no, like these people need an agent to help them because
Yeah.
somebody failed, right? And if you do that, then I think that gives you so much more like reason to do the activities that work, because everybody knows that these things work. It's just how it's going to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other reason so many people fail at prospecting, and by the way, I hate the term lead generation, because lead generation is like, it's like the blob in the corner, right? It's like, ooh, I'm going to go poke at it, but I don't actually know what it is. Like, you ask an agent, what is lead generation? And they go, well, it's, going out and building your business. And you go, no, specifically, what is it? Like, what are you doing? What do you, and they can't define it, right? They're like,
it works, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I had an agent I was coaching, and she was in a group coaching, and she says, oh, I lead generate. I go to Goodwill and I talk to people in the aisles. And I'm like, what? How does that work? I don't understand. So I think one of the challenges and one of the reasons people, because let's face it, a lot of people have tried calling FSBOs and expireds, right?
Right.
But the problem is, one is there's not a lot of them right now. And two, they call, the expired shows up, they call it that day, right? And then they call another one the next day, and they call another one the next day. And let's say in a month, they've called 40, okay, in a month. And they tend to narrow their area. So they tend to try to be really tight on the area the geography that they're prospecting in. They'll avoid certain price points, which, funny enough, is luxury listings expire a lot more frequently than the mid-price homes. And what are the ones that agents avoid? They go, well, I don't want to call $2 million house. Like, I've never sold a $2 million house. What would I do? Well, the same thing you would do with a $50,000 condo. It's the same. It's the same.
Right.
You're going to probably do a little bit more marketing, but beyond that, it's the same process, right? So I think the challenge that people have that have tried it in the past and maybe didn't have success is, honestly, you just didn't call enough people. And so when I'm coaching people into saying, okay, we're going to do FSBOs and expireds, my expectation is 150 dials a week, right? So that's 150 times that phone's going to ring every week, is going to lead you to somewhere around 45 to 50 people you're going to talk to. And out of that, you're going to get one appointment. You're going to get one appointment out of 150 dials a week. Now, what do? Is you have to expand your area out, right? Like, last time I checked, most real estate agents have cars, right?
I mean, yeah.
And take a gas goes 400 miles. That's your range. That's how far, because in order to do it, you're going to have to take some chances. You're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to go meet people, and you're going to have to drive to get opportunity to get good at handling the objections. You're going to have to get good at handling your preparation and all of those things, and to have a win, right? And once you have a couple wins, it'll click for you, and you're going to get better on the phone. You're going to be more confident in your speech. And then from there, you can start to narrow your price point, narrow your geography. But starting off, you got to go wide. And, because if you have low skill level, low experience, your value is really nothing to the market. So it doesn't matter if it takes you 2 hours to get there. Your 2 hours are worth zero.
Right. And not only go wide, but I think some people I hear this all the time working at REDX is people get frustrated because they're like, oh, somebody rejected me, or, oh, there was a wrong number, or all this stuff, which happens, right? With data, that's just inevitable. But the thing is as long as you use that as ammo of like, okay, this no is getting me closer to a yes or whatever, and you keep calling, like you're saying, then you will find success. And like you said, once you find success, it's kind of like you will find more, right? Like once you get started and get going and your skills get better, you hone your skills and things like that, then I mean, it opens wide up. Opportunity opens up.
Yeah, you can't get triggered on the phone when they tell you no, or they give you an objection, you can't get upset about it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's a wrong number. Oh, great. Do you want to sell? Like,
I know, that's the thing. It's like people as a lot of top producers I've heard, they just like kind of gamify it, right? And they're like, oh yeah, okay, and let it roll off. Like if somebody, I mean, what's the worst thing someone can say, right? Is no. And you can hang up and you move on. That is the worst thing that could happen. And so especially when those people that are getting on the phone and they have that call reluctance for that first call, it's like you just have to get over that hump, and then once you get more and more rejection, like rejection therapy, then it's like, oh yeah, this is easy. We can do this.
Okay, I'm going to share with you my secret, and this works flawlessly. Okay. So those of you that took the time to listen today, this works really well. So, do you have children, Haley?
I do not.
You don't have children?
Mm-mm.
So when your children, when you bring your baby home from the hospital, right? They have you wash the baby in the sink, right? You're not going to put the baby in the bathtub. The baby's like 6 pounds, right? So you wash the baby in the sink, and you got this slippery baby that's all soaked up. Okay. Now, if somebody calls you in that moment, right, you're going to be frustrated. I don't care who it is. It could be your mom. You're going to be like, I got to go. And you hang up the phone, right? Because the alternative is dropping the baby. Okay. So what I tell my coaching clients is, if they just hang up with you on you, or they're rude, they're holding a soapy baby. It's not about you, right? Soapy baby, move on.
I love that. I don't think I've ever heard that before. That like analogy. If you just think of a soapy baby,
it's not about you. They're holding they've got other things that are more important than you right now. And you know what? Maybe I'll call them back when they're not holding the soapy baby. Right? Last time I called you, Haley, it sounded like you were really busy. Do you have a minute to talk right now?
That's funny. We did get a question while you were saying that. Larry's asking, what is your follow-up strategy? So if people are calling leads, expired leads for sale by owners, whatever, what would you recommend a follow-up strategy as?
Okay, so most importantly is no answer is just that. It's no answer. So no answer isn't a no. Okay, so we keep calling until we get because one of the mistakes people make is let's say you have a list of 75 leads. You call the 75 and let's say 20 answer. Well, you've got to call back through that remaining 50 over and over again until you get a no or a fuad, right? And or I'm listed with another agent, right? So you just keep calling until you actually get a response from them. And sometimes you just ask them, you say, look, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm just trying to find out if there's an opportunity here in the future or not. And if they say no, then take them off your list, right? Because that's your job. Your job is just to filter the list, right? It's almost mechanical at this point.
And it sounds pretty simple.
Yeah, we're like a tree chipper, that big machine that cuts up branches. You can throw anything in it, it's going to chew it all up, right? So whatever they put in, whatever they give us in the dialer or whatever, we just call. Like don't judge it. Like,
Love
just
it.
Call it. Yeah, find out what it is. There's only one way to find out. You got to call them.
Right.
So follow-up strategy from that point, let's say, you talk to somebody and they say, yeah, I might be interested in the future. I always cut it in half what they say. So if they say call, in a month, I'm going to call them in 2 weeks, right? If they say 6 months, 3 months, because, 6 months means I want to move. That means they're prepping early. So you've got to stay on them. And then probably most important than that is you've got to somehow get in front of them, right? So any type of pop by that you can do and not weird stuff, right? Like, don't show up with like an Easter basket or something weird. But, if you have a small box of information that's available to them, or, I've seen people use FedEx envelopes, like they go to FedEx and they get the FedEx thing and then they stuff it with flyers, some business cards, some information about the current market in the area. And your goal is for them to see you face to face, but literally like it's ding dong. Hi, I'm Sean. I know you're busy. I'm just dropping this off. We talked yesterday. I've got to go. I've got another appointment. Okay. And there's a whole strategy about being busy because people want to work with busy people, right? They don't want you standing around.
You're hardworking. You're busy.
Yeah. So you just say, hey, is there a time I can come back by and go through the rest of the information with you? But if they say no, that's fine. All you're trying to do is connect the name to the face and give them some abilities of value. So when you do call, they remember who you are, because you're not the only one calling.
Right.
Right. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
And by the time like a week goes by, they don't remember you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, to a follow-up question, Richard asked, how often would you follow up with someone that isn't ready to sell but says you can stay in touch? So like you said, cut it in half, right?
We'll cut it in half, and you've got to have some type of follow-up marketing plan. So I look at my SOI past clients, my sphere of influence of past clients, separately than I do a lead funnel. Okay. So a lot of people lump those two together. They're totally two different conversations. Your SOI already has trust. They already trust you. They already like you. So you're not trying to build trust and like with them. You're just trying to include them into your conversation so you can have personal conversations with them as a group. Your lead funnel, which is somebody who says, yeah, follow up with me in the future, you can keep in touch. You're going to want to build trust with them in the relation of your industry. So you're a real estate professional. So don't send them a recipe card. Like, that drives me crazy. Like, seriously? Like, you sending them a recipe card? Are you Elmer Fudd? Who are you? Like, what? I guess that's not, I wasn't thinking Elmer. But so send them market updates, send them, put them on a, like a, what is it? Like, Market Leader has the market snapshot, right? Which is a pretty cool tool that drops them their current comps and sales in the area. Send them a newsletter that talks about, you know, what's going on in the market and your recent sales and who you are. And I think this is important why newsletters work, is who you are in relationship to their community. Like, who are you in the community? Like, what are you doing to help the community? Are you just here to take, or are you doing food drives? Are you volunteering? Are you involved? So it's a different message to people who don't know you and like you and trust you yet than your SOI. Okay. So I think that's really important to keep them separate.
I love that. I think that's perfect. Money's found in the follow-up. So this is awesome. I love talking about it. We also had another question. We're over time, but I'm having a great time talking to you. So I just want to get through these questions real quick. Julia said, hey, Sean, what advice would you give to agents who lean on the shy side? So we're talking about prospecting. You know, this is like, you are being extroverted. You're talking to strangers, things like that. Like, what about someone who maybe that doesn't appeal to?
Yeah, that's such a good question. One of the things I want to make sure, like, I want to change people's perception of introversion and extroversion. Okay. So Myers-Briggs, Carl Jung and Kimberly Myers and Dr. Briggs, who kind of created the Myers-Briggs, that's where it all came from, believe that we all have an introverted and extroverted preference. Okay. So for me, when I'm extroverted, I'm talking about big picture, I'm talking about ideas, you know, those kind of things. That's my extroverted preference. But if you knew me as a human, right? If you were my wife, you would think I'm an introvert, because I spend hours and hours by myself, perfectly happy, writing, reading, and I could do weeks on end without talking to another human. I'm totally cool.
Not me. No. We're different.
So what's important in this is we all have an introverted and extroverted preference. But she asked shy. Now, shyness is not introverted and extroverted, because an extrovert can be shy and an introvert can be outgoing, right? It's how you're responding to the situation. So I would say shyness, you know, shyness could be confidence. Okay. So as your confidence grows, I would ask myself, as my confidence grows in the reality that I live in, you know, like, think back of, like, maybe when you were in college or in school, like, were there areas that you were confident, and did you show up more in those environments, right? Because that could be a confidence thing. So over time, when you gain experience, your shyness will go away. Okay. Introverted is different. So introverted preference just means you don't prefer to be in front of the room. You don't prefer to be the one engaging. You prefer to have people engaging you. So the key to that is finding lead generation strategies that people are reaching out to you versus you proactively pursuing them. However, I will say I do coach somebody who is an amazing prospector that uses REDX. Okay. And she is an introvert. In fact, if you Google her name, she doesn't even have a website. She has one photo on her brokerage website. And she's an amazing prospector. But the reason she does it is to help people. So she truly believes every dial she's making, she's finding somebody who needs her service, that if they don't use her, that they're going to get taken advantage of by somebody else. Okay. So you kind of have to play your strength, right?
Yeah.
You got to play to your strength.
I like that. It's kind of a switch in mindset a little bit of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and things like that. Which I like.
Yeah, you got to just know yourself. Just have that self-awareness of who you are, and just accept it. I don't enjoy doing this, but I can do it for a period of time, right? I might not be able to do it forever, but I can do it for a period of time. Like people ask me, they say, what's the best real estate business to own? And by far, a farm is the most profitable and most sustainable business is a farm. But they take 20 years to build.
Right.
Right? They're great. So what do you do until you've built it? You prospect. Right? You prospect until you build your name and your notoriety via a farm.
I like it.
And
you can do it no matter, if you're shy, extroverted, or introverted versus extroverted, what your preferences are, things like that. You just have to find your motivator and you can do it because somebody's going to appeal to that. Someone's going to appeal to your personality. Someone's going to want you as their agent. I think not just the people who are loud are the best, right?
Yeah.
So
no, my Chris Linzell, you and I were talking about Chris Linzell, who's another coach. We both agree that the best real estate agents out there, the most successful real estate agents out there, are introverts by far. And we can show you multiple sources to prove that's the case, because introverted preferences have to adapt around their personality, right? So what do they tend to do is they tend to build systems, right? And they build these massive systems that generate a massive amount of leads, and then they build teams around them. So I'm sure you're familiar with Ben Kinney, right? Who is the number one team at Keller Williams. He's, I think, year to date, I think he's already closed 1,100 units this year. Okay. Huge introvert. But he adapted his introverted preference and built a system around himself, Brevity. That's the system that he built. And then he built a team called Place that now sells services like 27 markets throughout the United States. He's an introvert. Okay. A strong introvert, by the way.
I like that because I think a lot of people would look at real estate agents and be like, oh, I need to be super outgoing and because it's a people business, right? So you think like, oh, I need to be super personable. I need to do all these things. But the thing is like, wow, that might be someone else's strength. It doesn't mean that you can't be successful with the strengths that you have. Like you said, introverts they create processes, and processes last a lot longer, and they create systems that work over and over and over again. And so I love this. I love it because you don't have to be a certain person to be in real estate. You can be successful anywhere that you fall on the spectrum.
Absolutely.
I love it. Awesome, Sean. Well, this has been awesome. We went a little over time just because I've been loving talking to you. We're going to have you back because I think we should get more into, we just barely scraped the surface on some of this stuff. And so I would love to have you back on to talk more about it. But for everybody that is watching, thank you so much for tuning in and asking your questions. You asked some great questions, so this was awesome. And for the people that will listen to this afterwards, it is definitely a benefit to come and then watch live because you get to ask questions and it's more of an interactive experience for sure. So wonderful. Sean, thank you so much for coming on here. For everyone that is here, be sure to subscribe. Like I said, we are here every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. So we will be here back next week. But awesome. Also, before I forget, I totally almost forgot. I want to post that link of the 16 strategies that you sent me.
Yes.
Will you just give people a little blurb of what that is?
Yeah. So in collaboration with the Close, we created a personality profile that will direct you to the best lead generation strategy for your personality. Now, I just want to be really clear. No personality assessment out there is ever 100% accurate. So the way that I would like you to do it is take the assessment. It's going to point you in the direction, but we're going to give you access to all the strategies. So click each one, read each of the personality profiles and the strategies, and then pick 2 or 3. I would say 3. Pick 3 that resonate with you and build your business around that, right? And I think you'll find success that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I just dropped that in the chat and it'll be in the notes for people that are watching this afterwards. I think I want to go take that just to see kind of what comes up for me too. But awesome. Okay, thanks again, Sean. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.